From a ServiceNow perspective, stage 3 is going to be very similar to stage 2. There's a series of stage gates that happened, and once those stage gates happened, the project let the next stage open up. Once the next stage opens up, Jay can actually go to the procurement portal and complete a requisition form, approve that requisition form, and then they're going to build the procurement documents based on that approval. Those documents will be exported where they can be sent out to different vendors, and then those submissions can be evaluated and invite the highest scoring bidder to negotiate. At the end, we'll actually move into the conducting of a negotiation in City Innovate. So let's go ahead and jump to the demonstration. From the ServiceNow side, we're going to pick up where stage 2 left off. Remember on stage 2, we had our stage gate checked off, and that closed the task for stage 2. Right, so the child task underneath stage 2 approval came in, closed complete, and then that opened stage 3 for us. Once stage 3 opened, we were able to go and kick off the RFP process. And you'll see what enables this is the actual control that's in the dependencies as we go down the project. The stage gate here from stage 2 is what opened up stage 3 so that we're able to execute. Just like in stage 2, this solution builder project is automatically kicked off, and there's going to be back and forth collaboration as the solution project happens outside of ServiceNow. Now let's jump into Solicitation Builder and see how that process works and how it reaches back to update the ServiceNow task.
This is all automated, it's all streamlined, so we're collecting this data from ServiceNow and actually going out there and building the solicitation. Once the solicitation is built, we can start answering the questions, in terms of the goods and services being procured. Solicitation Builder has the ability to put smart text across the whole document. So it's very similar to a find and replace where you're able to ensure that you have these variables and these smart text in places. Now, if you don't know the answer, you can ask your team member. You can actually ask the business contributors as well if they are aware of the question. And once you do, it starts populating it. We also have the ability to also pull in a lot of section data. So procurement officials don't need to remember, hey, where do we include all this language? So these guardrails are in place. We also give you the ability to do the same thing with documents. So you can actually say which documents should be included or not by answering questions. Once you've answered all these questions, we actually give you a list of the documents. So you have this great summary panel. So here's the information that was pulled in earlier, the purchasing agency, the estimate, the class. We have all the documents now that you can see here, the attachments that get pulled in that's relevant to that particular solicitation. The exhibits here as well are all pulled in. So all these guardrails are in place. Again, procurement officials don't need to worry about what gets pulled in and what doesn't. And you can also add new documents. Let's actually go into a document here now. And this is sort of the main body of the document. And you can see it looks very similar to Google Docs or Microsoft Word Online. You have this nice document-centric view. On the left-hand side, you have the TOC. On the right-hand side, it's language you're all familiar with. So you have everything is organized as you would expect it to be by sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.1, etc. Again, a very document-centric view. So this is very similar to what you're accustomed to. Here's an example of us opening up an attachment. One thing that is great about Solicitation Builder, unlike Microsoft Word or Google Docs, is that we can have granular level permissioning. So we can actually lock specific sections and only give access to procurement officials or our business contributors to make sure that nobody's touching boiler template language. So here we have a document. We can also see, you can see that these are being color coded. Yellow indicates somebody's actually in this section. They're already working on it. We also have this sort of purple pink, which means nobody has yet gone into these sections and worked on it. We also give you a nice indicator to show you who can actually edit that section. So here you can see the guests who are business contributors can come in and edit the section. We can also see a bubble on the left-hand side in number 3 where we can see, okay, somebody's working in this, it's yellow, and there's comments that have been made in this. Maybe it's comments asking for help or for somebody to review it. We also, as I mentioned earlier, give you this great ability to now have the ability to edit the section. If we were to mark it complete, it goes white. We can remove the section if it's not required. And here, for example, you can see we're marking a section complete. You can see now it's changed its color from red to white. We also give you the ability now to actually go into a section and bring in all the guests to be able to now collaborate on them. So here's an example as we sort of were showing to you that you can actually go in, you can go into the section. Now, again, very similar to Google Docs and Microsoft Word Online, we give you this real powerful feature, which is at the core of the product, is the ability to now start working on these sections. And you can see up in the top left, you can see there's users, you can have 10, 20, 30. You can see that they're all in here. You can see the cursor, writing text here. You've got help text. As you can see, we can start now putting in the actual data that this is a 24 months contract. We can start making these changes. And we can actually start, as you can see on the right-hand side, we can actually either accept or remove people's feedback and comments. So we're all collaboratively working on this. You'll see later that we actually use this as a nice communications platform where we have everything going to the inbox. Let's go into a powerful feature that we've not talked about, which is suggested content. As you build historical solicitations, we give you the ability to pull in that data. So you don't have to phone a friend and say, hey, I know you did something similar in an acquisition. Can we get that language? We're able to give you those powers. You can actually just go in and we do a sort of a matching at the forefront when we ask you what type of procurement it is and what type of acquisition it is. And we match that to any historical solicitations you may have in the database. As I mentioned earlier, we also give you the ability to do tasks and messaging. We have a centralized platform. You can have tasks for each one of those sections. So I can go in here, I can edit it, I can put a date on it. I can even then say, hey, this is going to be completed by a specific member of the team. It automatically sends that task to that individual to complete the section. I can even make comments at the bottom of this section to that particular member just to give them some context. And this will go into the inbox. So they know that they not only have a new task, but they have a message from maybe the project manager or the procurement official that, hey, we need you to come in and complete this section. We can also, here you have the ability as a procurement official, if somebody has requested a section that is locked because it has T&Cs, we can have the ability for other business folks to come in and say, hey, we'd like to come in and we'd like to work on it. And they can make a request. You can approve it. You can reject that request and ask, or even ask them further details. Now let's take a look at the project management features. As we create the solicitation, we automatically create these tasks, assigning all the attachments and all the sections to the procurement official or the business contributor. So immediately you have this great ability to actually filter by sections, by attachments, or on the right-hand side by users, or actually using this in a combination way. And we can see that, yep, we have a lot of these tasks and we have all these dates where we've got to complete these tasks. And what's great is that we can also see if people are missing dates. Everything here is tracked. You have a lot of data. So let us show you some of the reporting that we sort of share with folks. So here's the analytics. As you can see, it gives me all my procurements. It tells me a status. Are they in progress? Are they published? Are they in an addendum mode? So it gives you fine granular detail level data to be able to give a quick snapshot to somebody on where we are with that procurement. We can do the same search that we have on tasks. We can come in here and search specifically for a procurement. And you can see here it's complete. It's in addendum mode and it's been done over 2 days ago. We can see there were 26 different folks working on this. And we also have some metadata here where you can see more information on the project itself. And you can even go further granular, right? We can see all the tasks that are complete. If we want to double click, we can see the status of the document, how many sections are complete, how many are still in progress, and how many have not even been started. And you can see, the type of users. A big component of solicitation builder is also, as you build solicitations, you always have to do ADA compliance. So you can see on the right-hand side, second from the right, you can see all the errors or suggestions that you may have for each attachment for each section. So let's go ahead and click one of these. We can actually tell you that a lot of these tables don't have any headers. Now, once we're done with our ADA compliance and we're finished with the solicitation, we've done all our reviews, we're getting ready now to export this to Cali Procure or send it to the vendors. or we can do an online submission. So let's go through the process of exporting a master PDF and what that looks like. So our system generates a great PDF. You can see has all the lovely logos. We automatically generate a table of contents for you. It's all hyperlinked. You can see as we jump in, it's got all our tables. It's got these great images that we've been using. It's got separate sections that are hyperlinked, including attachments. And all of this is done automatically. Of course, as you post this, it's very common that you're going to be doing addendums. And this is a module that we've also built. And as you can see here, we've made some changes to our bidding instructions. So we color code this for you as you're going back now. We our database, and we're now tracking these changes for you. So as you're making these changes, the database is tracking these. You don't need to now keep your own summary of changes. The database and the product does that for you. It will capture all the changes that were made in what section and what changes were made, so you can print out your addendum with a nice change log. And again, saving a lot of time for your procurement officials and having to remember that. Another big feature that we have is our audit log. We have an audit log on your configuration of your template. So as we configure your templates, your RFLs, your RFQs, and if folks are making changes to your templates, you can see the date, the time those changes were made. And later on, you'll see we can also use this when you're negotiating a contract with a vendor, or if they were changing some of the language in your RFO, RFQ, RFP, you're able to take that carve out language as well. So we also give you the ability, as I've just been walking through building your procurement, taking on Microsoft Word, we also very similarly give you the ability to go take on the Excel-like functionality. We can actually help you build the vendor submissions as we did with the RFI. So here's a good example. You can see on in the top, building out the company details, whether it's phase one, phase two, we can build out all the questions that these vendors need to submit as part of their response to this procurement. So you can see all the details are here. We have templates that you can work off, so we can configure these templates so you're not having to do this every time. We can add fields as we were showing you. It's very simple. It's a very intuitive tool, and we can say, hey, there's a new field we're going to add. We can say, we want this to be rich text. It's mandatory. We want this field it's required. We can put a word limit on it so we don't get a novella back, and and we can allow them to upload a new document or not. And there you go. It's as easy as that, as adding fields. Rich text capabilities here. We can drag and drop these questions as well. We also give you the ability now, once we built out the form for what we want the vendors to respond to, we also allow you now to build out the evaluations for that specific form. So here you can see, as I'm asking vendors to submit their project manager resume, I'm also now scoring that resume. So I can have these edit criterions. These are all configurable to the requirements of each agency. We can edit these, we can remove these. As you can see here, it could get very complicated. It could get, most evaluations sometimes are complicated, and you can come in here and you can have the ability to do numeric evaluations. You can do it as a percentage. We'll show and share with you how we can do weighted. This can be an open-ended. So we have the ability to do that, and we can also do pass and fail. At most MQs, you can do pass and fail. Now let's go to the vendor as they complete the submission. As we were sharing with you before, very similar. We can have these vendors come in and actually submit their submission. They can invite their colleagues. They're able to come in and post their responses. They're able to, you can see they have a lot of questions. They can upload all their attachments. They can save the draft. This can take days, weeks, months. So you can have 10, 15, 20. That's very common for big procurements. And then they can submit and complete. As we were showing you before, now once these vendors have submitted their proposals, we at the procurement side and the business folks can now get dropped in, and they can start evaluating. They can actually start scoring by a number, providing justifications. We can have multi-stage evaluations where we can have the business folks come in first and do their scoring blindly, and then we can have a team captain come in at the next stage and provide a justification if there is a public record request. And you can see there's different types of criterias here. Does it fully meet, partially meet. Here, let's take a look at the summary score now. We give you this great table to see all our vendors and how they've scored and on considerations, narratives. If we want to sort of move them to the next phase, we can actually tag as well very quick. And we also have the ability, as we've mentioned earlier, for you to be able then to download this data in a PDF format or in a CSV file.
And finally, the completion of the docs in Solicitation Builder. They went ahead and closed the task automatically by Solicitation Builder responding back to ServiceNow. They updated the actual dates in here. This is the planned start and the planned end, but the actuals underneath this are what is being updated by Solicitation Builder. From there, it kicked off our stage 3 approval based on the dependency that happened here. That stage 3 approval was approved and that closed complete, and that concluded stage 3.